This is Access Tech Live.
Welcome back. This is Access Tech Live. I'm Marc Aflalo with Alex Smythe sitting in for the vacationing Stephen Scott. He'll be back next week. So the CYBATHLON is a competition that challenges teams from around the globe to develop assistive technology for everyday use by people with disabilities. It's happening in Switzerland this October, and we'll be talking to a Canadian team that's actually competing. But first, joining us now is the co-head of the CYBATHLON, Annie Kern. Welcome to the show, Annie. Thank you for joining us.
Hello, Marc. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Annie, I want to start off with this. Where did the idea for CYBATHLON come from, and why did you want to create this international competition?
So I'm actually a professor at ETH Zurich, so the Swiss Federal Institute of Technology, where we are a non-profit project of. He had the idea in 2013. He was inspired by a guy who was the first person climbing the Willis Towers in Chicago with a leg prosthesis. And he was aware that a lot of universities and labs are developing assistive technology for any kind of disabilities. And most of them didn't really develop the devices with the person with disability together, and the prototypes never made it to the end users. So the Willis Tower climbing got a lot of attention, and then he had the idea that a competition with a rules book and daily life task would be a good idea to promote this development of assistive technology and to show it to a broader audience and to show the fascination of this kind of technology.
I find that so cool, and I understand teams are made up of developers of what you guys call pilots who compete in 8 different disciplines, right?
Yes, we call them pilots because it's for us always very important that the person is able to control the technology. So the technology has to be safe. The technology shouldn't be controlled or control the pilot, but the pilot should be the master of the technology at all times. That's why we are calling them pilots.
And so what kind of challenges do you face putting on a international competition of this sort, where you're trying to kind of push forward accessibility, inclusion, but also innovation from the technical aspects?
Yes, so there are different kind of challenges. The first one is to make the event accessible for persons with disabilities. So we have a stadium in Zurich, and we have the challenge, for example, for blind people, that they can have like a live audio description in a hall. I don't know how it is in Canada, but we don't really have it in Europe, that you can go to an event and have an audio description or someone telling you what's going on at the competition. And then the other one is that we are always streaming our competitions on our website. So we have to make this accessible for blind people, for people who are deaf, for people that cannot access events or computer or halls. We will build a big wheelchair stand in the stadium. So we rebuilt the whole stadium. It's an ice hockey stadium, so that we have more wheelchair places, about 100 for all the pilots, for audience, and for other people that would like to come to the event. And this is challenging because it's always very expensive, which is not fair, I think. But there are a lot of things that are not yet really developed. For example, for audio description or for sign language. And we try to develop them and making them better for people with certain kind of disabilities.
Annie, I have to assume that people coming out there are really pushing the boundaries of what they can do with technology, specifically in assistive technology. How do you see the CYBATHLON contributing to the advancements in assistive tech and in accessibility globally?
Yeah, so we want development teams to work with the end user together. So if you train and receive the feedback from the person with the certain kind of disabilities, it really helps you to develop a meaningful device that is used. You don't have to develop the most expensive or most fancy device. You have to build a device that supports a person in their daily life, so that they can participate in social or political life. This is one thing I think we contribute. The other thing is that we our team is developing a races and rules book every 4 years. So every 4 years we sit together with people with disabilities and experts from all kind of technology areas, and create tasks that the devices in the different races cannot really do yet. And so that we push this development further every 4 years. So if maybe exoskeletons. So in this year's competition, we have the first time a task where exoskeletons or the pilot has to walk without crutches. So this means that the development teams have to come up with a solution how the whole robotic suit is stabilizing a paraplegic person. So, and we are very excited about or looking forward to how many teams can already do it, that the person with an exoskeleton can walk without crutches. Then you are even more independent than with the crutches.
And Annie, as you mentioned, you and your team are constantly trying to push forward the boundaries of accessibility and development of technology. In terms of like the past events, like are there any like memories or moments that stand out to you as being truly special, or ones that shine just when you have these types of breakthroughs, or whether it's from the teams or the pilots or even yourself, and just thinking, wow, like we're creating something special here?
Yes, we create something special. No, I don't think there's one story or one moment that stands out. I think that in 2016, when we had or organized the first CYBATHLON, we were as a small team overwhelmed by the success we had with the media, with internationally, with the teams, with other universities, because we created people with disability and without disability. We created an atmosphere that everything is possible. And there were so many. You have these student teams and tech developer that they developed something for a person, and this person is so happy. It was just such a great atmosphere. And every competition and event we organized since that, it never loses this, because you always think like, yes, he or she did it and the whole team did it, and that's a very creative solution, and this is a very strange, weird looking device, but it's good. So this makes it extremely interesting how everyone works together to a common goal, to a society goal.
Annie, one thing I want to kind of pick up on too is, when you talked about, okay, you're developing different challenges in different disciplines every 4 years. Is there a area or focus that maybe that you weren't able to kind of bring into this year's competition, but maybe down the road? Is there, like, whether it's a discipline or a disability that you would like to see more progress made in?
So in the last 8 years, our team evaluated other disciplines or other technologies, like, for example, soft exoskeletons. But it's very hard to make a fair competition, because we don't have, like, when you compare it a little bit to the Paralympics, you have in a discipline a lot of different inclusion criterias, and we have per discipline one inclusion criteria, and it's hard to make meaningful tasks or to develop meaningful tasks and then make an attractive and fair competition for the teams. So at the moment, we are good with our 8 disciplines because also some parts of the devices of a different discipline can be used in another discipline, or the assistance robot race is very similar to the wheelchair race. There is only the inclusion criteria a little bit different. So yeah, it's hard to differentiate, and at the moment we stay with this. But I think the most promising discipline is the brain-computer interface race, with your brain steering an avatar with your brain waves. So this is going to be, I think, one of the most attractive disciplines in the future.
Annie, it's such an exciting event. We're going to be following it online, of course. If people want to follow it, what's the website they can go to? It's
CYBATHLON.com. It's also in October on the 3 days. We have a live page, and all races will be streamed. You can find the program on the website, and you can follow us on the website and see all the live streams and all the races from 25th of October until the 27th. You can also come to Zurich.
We're definitely gonna follow it for sure, and we definitely want to have you back on next year and talk about that event and talk about the disciplines. Thank you for joining us. Coming up on the show, what is it like to compete at the CYBATHLON? Well, and what's involved in preparing for it? We'll talk to BCIT, a Canadian team that's competing this year, after a quick break here on Access Tech Live.
There's more Access Tech Live to come. Get involved and have your say at Access Tech Live on social media. We'll be right back.